Warning, censorship. Warning, censorship. Warning, censorship. Warning, censorship. Warning.
Based introduction featuring my face, Lewis Brackpool. How are you?
I'm very well, good sir. How are you?
I'm very good, doing very well. I hope you are doing well. Rebel News live streams daily. Rumble, Super U, Odyssey, Getter, YouTube, of course, where they don't love us. We'll get to any paid chats during the day, during this live stream. Get them in. We'll read them as fast as we can. Rumble rants, Odyssey, hyper chats, Super U, shouts. Nothing on YouTube again because they hate us. Lewis, what's new in the UK? We're going to get to a lot of UK news today, a lot of US news today. Are you feeling like, things are getting back to normal? Are you supporting Ukraine still? What's going on over there?
No, nothing's ever normal anymore. This new normal is just the worst thing in the world, really, and I reject all of it.
That's
personally. Shall we dive right into some UK stories?
We could dive into UK stories. We've got so many things. I think producer Olivia wanted us to tackle the title track, of course, as I call it, which is Joe Biden and Barack Obama. And then we have so much English stuff to get to that we're going to be laughing our heads off at. The first thing that everybody was circulating last night was, I don't know what the event was, actually, if we could find that out, but it was Joe Biden at the White House, and Kamala Harris was there, but Barack Obama was also there. And in most Democrats' eyes, he's the greatest person to ever live. Never started any wars, never considered himself to be a warmonger at all, but he's still a really popular guy. And it seems by the videos that came out that nobody cared about the actual president at the White House. They all wanted to talk to Barack Obama, and even when Biden is pulling on his shoulder, he won't even pay attention to his former vice president, now president. Can we bring some of that up? So you're going to see him grab Obama's shoulder here and say, he's going to hesitate to say Barack like 5 times. As you can see, he's trying to remember his name. If you look at his lips, he's like, Barry Soda, Bobby.
Oh, this is sad, man.
Barack.
This is elder abuse.
And he's trying to pull him into him, and he's still just ignoring this clammy hand on his shoulder. Now, I think he should have went with the come up behind him and smell his hair move that he's synonymous for.
Yes.
But he didn't do that, Lewis. What does it say about the President of the United States not getting any love at the White House?
Well, I just think it's just sad to watch now. I mean, we've been seeing so many just awful mistakes, or I was going to use the wrong term then, but yeah, just mistakes from Joe Biden, and just his senileness seems to be coming out in the open a lot these days, and it's just sad, and I feel really bad for
he doesn't know where he is.
Who didn't vote for him. He just doesn't know where he is. He doesn't know what he's doing. I just feel really sad at this point, because this is supposed to be the leader of the free world. Yeah, he doesn't know where he is half the time.
And then you've got like high-ranking military members there, no interest in their commander-in-chief. Even the seniors there are more interested in Barack Obama. He can probably get them better deals. Unless you're doing oil deals in Ukraine, you probably can't get too many great connections out of Joe these days. Maybe the Chinese well has dried up. No, I think it is very sad and very telling that nobody ever thought he was great, never thought he was popular. Kamala Harris was like the first person to drop out of the primaries. They have to screw over Bernie Sanders in 2 separate elections, even though I'm no Bernie bro, as they call them. They have to get rid of all the popular people, even Andrew Yang and Tulsi Gabbard. They have to get rid of them. And they're all they all got more attention than Kamala Harris. And then you get Biden in, and then you place Kamala Harris. So I think everybody knows that Biden is not the person leading the Democrat Party or leading the White House.
No.
And it'll be interesting 100%. To see what they do come the 2024 election. Everybody always said that he wasn't going to make it 2 terms. It seems more and more like that's going to be the case. And I think if things really go south in the midterms this November, then they're going to start putting a play in action to replace him. But it's going to be difficult because people, if you truly I mean, we're on YouTube. Joe Biden got 900 million votes and he's the greatest president of all time. But if you truly believe in all that stuff, then then it's going to be hard to replace him, I think, in a new election because he was voted asterisk in because he's more normal than Donald Trump. He's not supposed to cause all this war that he's caused. He's not supposed to make the economy go up and down, which he's done. He's not supposed to, do all these sorts of things. He was supposed to be the vanilla guy, and the talking point by the Democrats when he got in office was the adults are back in the room. It's nice to have some decorum in the White House.
We did it, Joe.
We did it, Joe. I called you racist 2 weeks ago, but we did it, Joe. So what are they going to get? They go big Mayor Pete Buttigieg. Is he going to come in? Is he going to be the one they try to shoehorn in? Is Kamala just going to be like, there's no way I'm leaving, so you can try to put me as president? Or is big bad Hillary going to show up in her salmon pantsuit and say, you know what, guys, move over. I'll expose your Epstein flight logs if you don't put me back in power. And so who knows what's going to happen there, Lewis? I don't think Biden. Imagine just 2 years from now, another set of Biden and Trump debates. There's so many more things that have happened to Biden than Trump. There's all these things we knew about Trump. Maybe people didn't know and it got brought to light. But at this point, everybody knows what Trump was. And the economy was way better. The border was way better. There weren't any foreign wars. Foreign relations were way better. He was brokering peace deals, whether people like that or believe it or not. So, short of any rhubarb, let's say, I think Trump v. Biden too. You would have to think that Trump wins. I don't know.
I just want to say, quickly clarify that I think that, that Trump obviously lost and there was no.
That's true.
Some sort of
irregular
shenanigans. Going on there, and I believe that, of course, it was all done fair and square. Everything was cool. Everything's peachy. The Keystone Pipeline workers, that was all a myth. I'd like to say that, everything is going smoothly in Biden's America, and, everyone should be so grateful.
There was a flood over in that stadium that caused some things to happen, people just stopped working. Nothing suspicious at all. Another story out of the U.S. is this weird story about a writer named Amber Athey. Now, she, I think she's been on Fox News before. She's a popular writer. I want to bring up this New York Post article about her. Who's she a writer for? Amber Athey was fired for liking Kamala Harris's suit to a UPS uniform, which is a funny joke. Where does she work for here? The Spectator magazine is where she writes for. She's written for a lot of other places. I've known who she is for a couple of years now. I actually enjoy her opinions, unlike Lewis, who's sexist. Kamala looks like a UPS employee. What can Brown do for you? Athey said in a March 1st tweet. So it was a tweet, of course, that. That took her down. All of a sudden, the Kamala tweet was being reframed as racist, and dozens of Twitter accounts were bragging about contacting my employers about my bigotry, she said. So she worked for what is said to be a conservative radio station in D.C., where all the best people live. And she was fired because of a mean tweet. Not even a mean tweet, a tweet mocking her outfit, which, of course, we dealt with for 4 years of people making fun of First Lady Trump there, Melania, and of course horrible things were written about her, even though she was like the fangirl of the media's dream. If you were to put Melania Trump in the Democratic Party and put her in the White House, there'd be nonstop stuff about her fashion sense and her designs and all this crap. But we had to deal with the opposite. Not that I care if we cover somebody's designs or fashion, but what I'm saying is you say one thing about Kamala Harris looking like, Doug from King of Queens, a UPS outfit. Then all of a sudden that's turned as racist. There's the actual UPS guy delivering to basement apartments in New York City. So, Lewis, your reaction to this, a conservative outlet firing a girl for, emails coming from a tweet?
Yeah, I think it sort of proves that nowhere's safe, really, anymore in these publications. It's unbelievable, isn't it? I thought we'd moved on, or the conservative right had moved on from things such as cancel culture and stuff like that. But it seems to me that people are still terrified. It shows that people will have to drain their own swamp if it means that they don't want hateful emails or they don't want critiques of things such as mean tweets. I mean, come on. Comparing what she wears to a UPS officer, really? That's offensive, is it? I just no thanks. I don't think a lot of these outlets have learnt really from their opposition and from the past.
There's a rapper named Tyler, the Creator, who had a famous tweet about online bullying, and I'm reminded of this, whereas you get emails about something that isn't important like this, just turn away from the screen, just delete the email. Like, how is this hurting your company? I'm a socially democratic person, a socially liberal person, and I'm going to stop listening to your radio station if you don't respond to my emails. There we go. Producer Olivia being very based, putting this on the screen. I can't read it, but this is basically how I feel about emails. Like when a CBC reporter says, "Oh, it's so tough being a reporter. We face so much abuse." Like, try the Rebel News inbox. I demand. Or like whenever we break a big story that some people disagree with or something, try the Rebel News contact form. See how much N-words and F-bombs and anti-Semitic things get thrown in there for just one day. See how many people sign us up for like the weirdest websites. Just one day. Send us pictures of gross stuff. There was one time, Lewis, like, I want to say in December or January, where one guy dedicated just a few days to sending us like porn. It was really strange. So I have zero sympathy for any reporter who's like, "Oh, these mean words that are emailed to me," unless they're actual crimes being sent to you, like credible threats, violent assault stuff, really weird stuff. Then
doxing.
people being mean to you is not a thing. Emails about Amber Athey's tweet is not a thing. It's not the real world. Let's transition to the beautiful United Kingdom. God save the Queen, Lewis. You want to cue up this next story? Because we're taking a hard right turn here from UPS driver to transgender soccer goalie.
Sure. Let's go through it. So there is a transgender goalkeeper who used to play men's football. Has received an England university's call-up.
Getting the big call-up.
Not for the men's team, but for the women's team. So, yeah, it's quite astonishing, really, that this is kind of being allowed to happen. I mean, we've spoken about this quite a lot. If we'd like to scroll down briefly, just so I can read out the article. Thank you so much. It says, Blair Hamilton, who was born male but identifies as female, currently plays for Hastings United Football Club women's team. The 32-year-old, a PhD student at the University of Brighton, shock horror, has been selected for the England's University's Sport women's squad, a 6-foot-tall transgender woman. Thoughts, Andrew? I mean, you're a man of sports.
I am.
Would you like to expand on how you feel about this?
I'm going to go above the narrative as we do here on Across the Pond with Lewis and Andrew and say this guy is trolling. He's 32 years old. He is studying the effects of transgender and testosterone and transgenderism in a university, going for a PhD. This isn't a dummy. And now all of a sudden at the age of 32, probably at least a couple years in women's soccer, just tearing up the leagues, going from one end of the pitch to the other, scoring as a keeper, probably, realistically. I think that there's something to this. Either it's a massive troll or this person just really, really knows what they're doing and taking advantage of and exploiting the situation, which would be, of course, a travesty. But I like one quote in the article, Lewis, where a representative for that club, the Women's University Soccer Club of England there, saying, Blair is no a stranger to controversy, and neither are we. I'd like to know what other controversies of the same ilk this National Women's University soccer team has been not shying away from in the last 5 years, as opposed to, man becomes woman and plays keeper for us. Now, if I'm coming from that side, I'm thinking, good thing this person's a goalkeeper, because they're not going to be able to fully exploit their biological advantage over the other women here. If he's a forward or a defender, which he might want to transition to, pun intended, he could completely dominate the rest of the field. But as a goalkeeper, he's just going to be able to stop everything. And I'm guessing there are some already women's teams who don't allow many goals so long as they have a fairly competent keeper, because we know what the shot selection is coming like. I'm sorry, women's soccer. Producer Olivia, you're a female soccer player. How do you feel about Blair becoming the keeper for this team? No comment is what we're getting from the back. I'd hope there's a mutiny, Lewis. How do you feel about this?
How do I feel? I mean, we're seeing a trend here. Only just a few weeks ago, we had the cyclist, I forget the name, has been banned from competing against women. And we're starting to see this. We've been seeing it in the US a lot. I'm sure Canada has had a few candidates as well doing similar things. I think this isn't going to go away, despite the Prime Minister's comments, which we'll get to. I don't think this is going to go away for a while. This is the new hot topic. This is the new trend. And I think there's going to be a lot of people that are going to exploit it. And I don't think that this topic is going to go away for a number of years now. And I don't think there's anything more to say other than, of course, naturally, I disagree with this exploitation.
I think the cyclist name is Johnny English, if I'm not mistaken. Can we bring that up? So I think there was an update to that cycling story. I think last week we were talking about everybody was up in arms about this beautiful man wanting to be a cyclist. Transgender cyclist Emily Bridges says she was harassed and demonized after exclusion from national championships. So, in an example I think that should be echoed worldwide, the female cyclists in this competition threatened a boycott and forced a ban of this individual. Now, maybe there's a transgender cycling league to be had with all 6 of them. However, proud, if I can say that, of the women for saying, we're not doing this. You're not going to make any of your money that you're going to make off of this if you allow this to happen. Because I wonder who is going to win, Lewis. I wonder who the statistically best goalkeeper in this women's tournament is going to be, Lewis. I just wonder who's going to have the advantage here in lateral movement.
I'm going to buy you a Hastings United goalkeeper top.
I will wear that with the person's name on the back, Blair or whatever it was. So let's get to these comments from Boris Johnson. This is bigoted laughter here, Lewis. Boris Johnson says biological males should not compete in female sport and venues should have women-only places. This is disgusting talk from Boris Johnson.
It is.
Is there a video here, Olivia?
There should be.
Okay, let's find the video of him. Of course, Boris Johnson, actually, I think what's happening here, Lewis, is they're feeling the heat from people in terms of their electoral body saying, you're not very conservative, what's going on here? But it's nice for Boris Johnson to actually say what he said. Let's go ahead and play that.
I don't think that biological males should be competing in female sporting events, and maybe that's a controversial thing to say, but it just seems to me to be sensible. And I also happen to think that women should have spaces which are, whether it's in hospitals or prisons or change rooms or wherever, which are dedicated to women. That's as far as my thinking has developed on this issue, and if that puts me in conflict with, some others, then we got to work it all out. That doesn't mean that I'm not immensely sympathetic to people who want to change gender, to transition, and it's vital that we give people the maximum possible love and support in making those decisions. But these are complex issues, and I don't think they can be solved with, one swift, easy piece of legislation. They've taken it takes a lot of thought to get this right.
Lewis, what has there been a reaction to this? Has there been blowback?
Well, I've seen a few reactions. My personal reaction is finally a bit of conservatism. I mean, he's been showering away from a bit of conservatism for a long time, Boris, and it's good to see that he's actually finally come out and said something that a lot of people are thinking. So, yeah, fair play to him. Doesn't mean that I forgive everything that he's done since he was elected. Doesn't mean that I'm now a Boris Johnson fanboy. It looks like he was basically interrogated there, poor bloke in a hospital. But at the same time, yeah, I think he's basically bang on the money. I mean, I don't see it as too much of a complex issue like he was saying. I think he was very I think he realised, right, I've said something that's pretty spicy, so I'm going to have to start dampening it down before all the people with pitchforks start coming to my house with, tabloid journalists and pitchforks. So, yeah, I think he really saved himself at the end there. But, yeah, I'm in a big agreement with him for the first time in a long time.
Yeah, I think it's not as complicated as he said. I wish he was a little bit more hardline. As it stands, Ron DeSantis is the only politician who's willing to be this hardline.
Correct.
It could be, it's not that difficult. Born male, play in male sports. Born female, play in female sports. We've been over this so many times. Let the women have their spaces. The women, maybe in the UK, are finally starting to stand up for themselves. But I don't see in this case of the soccer player that they will stand up for themselves because it's just the goalkeeper. Having said that, maybe there is time for some legislation to be put in place at a federal level somewhere. But it does depend, I think, on the governing bodies of these sports to a degree. Because if you want to play in this women's university soccer league, then maybe you do want to play against transgender people. Now, should that be the only league? No, I would hope that it gets overtaken by something of a slightly different name for university students. But if you're in college and you want to play against Blair Whatsit and cycle against Johnny English, then you can have the opportunity to do that. There's going to be a lot less funding and a lot less fans. But it's going to depend on these bodies to say, you know what, no, we're not going to allow this. But then comes the argument of, well, they're going to appeal to the Supreme Court or a higher governing body, the federal courts, on whether or not this is discrimination. And I feel like in America, Joe Biden's people will back him and say this is a form of discrimination. You can't keep people out. So that's where the problem will arise. So something has to be done, apparently on a federal level, I guess, where we say make some sort of rules because, I don't know, it's going to take is one very biased body of judges or legislatures to say, you know what, you're discriminating against somebody if you're not letting them play in the sport that they want to play in. And there goes my new career in women's table tennis, I guess.
Yeah, and I mean, the problem is as well, Andrew, I mean, I've spoken to a lot of females about this subject, and they've all said the same thing, that they disagree with it, but they couldn't speak about it in open spaces. They can't speak about it at work. They can't speak about this wherever. The only place that they can speak about it is with friends and in private in their own homes because they fear the backlash. They fear that the mob or some sort of social media circle will suddenly go after them and then that'll put their job at risk. I know a guy who we speak about these issues all the time, and he's on the centre left. He wants to speak up against this, but he can't because he will lose sponsors, he'll lose his job, he'll lose his career. And he's been speaking about things on podcasts and inviting people on. I've spoken to him about this. He's in full agreement. But at the same time, he says, I can't talk about this because I'll lose sponsors, I'll lose everything, because this mob dictates what is acceptable or what is wrong think. And that's where we're going wrong in our society. We know that there's a very big ideological bias in the educational system. We know that within unions as well. And the problem is, this is only going to spiral out of control. And we can't have any grip against this. We can't actually have open and fair discussions because it just gets shut down. People get ostracized. People get their careers taken from them. So something does need to be done. We need some sort of legislation, and we need to have open and honest conversation without fear of losing your own career, because it's absolutely disgusting that in your own country, in your own society, you can't have open and rational discussion. I mean, that's fundamental to whether you think democracy is the best thing on earth or whether you don't. You need to have some sort of honest and extremely what's the word? I'm trying to think of a great word for it, but I've lost my trail of thought there. But you need to have honest conversation because it's fundamental to a society in the 21st century, but we seem to be going backwards.
Well, the slippery slope has been greased and buttered in this conversation, and we've gone from you know what, just pronouns, just respect my pronouns, just play along with it, play along with my identity, and I guess people were okay with that and for that, and then it's gone from that to we demand your women's spaces, we demand we demand money, we demand power. We demand you date us, even and it's transphobic if you don't. It's gone from like here and then completely fallen off the deep end. And, you know, it's such a small segment of the population who is clinically or I guess biologically, you know, intersex. It's like 0.018 or something like that.
Yeah.
And then the rest, if you ask me, it comes from, you know, actual mental health issues, which the studies show. I'm not just saying that out of thin air here. So when we get to this point where we have to change our society based on this fraction of a population, which apparently now is 20% of people who are Gen Z identifying as LGBT, you know, whether they truly are or not, I would tend to say that they aren't. These aren't the people who are going to be, you know, working at your electrical facilities. They aren't going to be people turning the turbines at hydroelectric plants. I'm sorry, but it's just not. They're people working at tech companies. They're people working at entertainment companies. We see them at Disney. We see them at, you know, left-wing Vox or Now This or something like that, or maybe even the Democratic Party. These aren't the people keeping your lights on, I'm sorry to tell you, and maybe that's a black pill for some people, but when you're focused 13 hours a day on making TikToks about what your gender identity and pronouns are, and the Chinese algorithm is saying, that's degenerative, let's push that to the top so you get more interactions, you're probably not raking in too much money, which is why the Californian state is now saying you're going to get $900 of minimum basic income just for being transgender. I wonder if that will be abused. Right now, there's only the incentive for fame in sports. Now we've put a monetary incentive into being transgender, and I wonder if that'll be abused. It seems like purposeful, you know, destruction of society, Lewis Brackpool.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing else to comment, really. I think you've pretty much hit the nail on the head. And you know, I feel for people who are going through gender dysphoria. I think that must be horrific, like actual gender dysphoria. I mean, that sounds pretty intense. I mean, I have no idea what that feels like, but you know, you must be able to at least sit and have a conversation with someone. But still, I mean that can go down a very spicy route to talk about. But yeah, I know. I genuinely, it's not as complex, the issue. It should be simple, black and white. But I do feel for people that need genuine conversation of all fronts, and I think that's incredibly important. And that's all I've really got to say.
There's a funny bit, I'm told, of Waking Up with JP about a trans swimmer that we want to play. We want to show this. We really get insensitive on the topic, you know, really hurt some feelings. Producer says, sure thing. She's all about hurting feelings over there behind this glass wall of emotion that she sits.
This is my proudest moment. I've been dreaming of becoming the top female swimmer for 1 year, but getting here wasn't easy. I first learned how to swim when I was 7 years old at Boy Scout camp. What might surprise you is I was actually a really slow swimmer at first and stayed a really slow swimmer through the first couple years of my collegiate career. Then I turned 23 and all of a sudden I'm the best swimmer in the women's division. And I can't track exactly what changed. I guess I'm just a late bloomer. Because swimming's been such a big part of my life for so long, it's where my happiness comes from. You can't have happiness without penis. I've never noticed that before. With being the best at something, you always get haters. Like, I don't understand what this controversy is all about. I guess people just don't like it when they see a woman succeeding. I compete in 3 different strokes: freestyle, the butterfly, and the backstroke. You got to be in the pool for hours each day. It's the only way to become the best. I guess I must have drank a lot of water on that lap. Yeah, it's not all easy. Some of the other ladies don't feel comfortable being in the same locker room as me. I'm appalled. I just don't understand why. Like, is this because I identify as black? These racist women around here. Or maybe they're just intimidated by my sensual femininity. I mean, you know how girls can be. Jealous. Swimming brings out the divine goddess in me. Hey, get out of the pool! That's for ladies only! Some of my competitors are angry that I tested positive for having XY chromosomes, and I don't know how they got there. Might have had like a tainted supplement or something. But really, I think my competitors are just sore losers. Like, hey ladies, I beat you by 11 minutes fair and square, so get over it. To me, swimming is...
I like how he really accentuates his traps there, Lewis. And I'd like to point out that there is a video that exists somewhere of David Menzies swimming at a women's pool before it was cool. So maybe we could find that somewhere and repost it in the ether. We're not getting off the UK stories yet. Do we have any paid chats to get to, Olivia? Oh, wow, offensive. So we've been talking about these environmentalists, Lewis, I think since we first started doing the show together. And one of the first ones we talked about was a guy gluing his face to a road. I don't know if we have that we can pull up really quickly. Just the imagery of a senior citizen, I think, gluing his face to a road. Here it is. Let's throw that up, please.
Beautiful.
Temple.
Right.
Because
I wonder if he did this when he was a young lad.
Glued,
Right.
Inhaler on the floor there.
I've worked
Ready.
most of that off,
He's going to have some
but the hair is still stuck.
bad burns. I wonder if anybody did a follow-up on that. So we were talking about that months ago, Lewis. And we've got a couple more examples which are just hilarious, if not sad. You want to cue up this person? I think it was on LBC.
Yes. So here's a clip of a Stop Oil Now protester during a debate on LBC, live, by the way, gluing himself to his microphone because he believes that the person he was debating has a massive platform and is not utilizing it in the correct manner. If we could play that, that would be fantastic to watch.
Tom, do you care about telling the truth?
Just the look of this kid.
It's a
Why are you not telling
question.
those millions of people what they need to know?
This is
What do you mean?
Why are you not telling them
Ed
millions?
Sheeran
why do you not
stand-in, I
answer my
believe?
horror?
Before you start
That is a
answering
waiting
your
room.
own, do you think it's fair?
Think it's a disgrace.
Do you think it's fair to say that people who don't join your organisation are complicit in the greatest ever genocide?
About the climate
You've just
crisis,
read the
about
final
situation
paragraph
Nose
of the
ring, of
report,
course.
and you
I'm
are
happy to
happy
take that.
to watch them sit in misinformation. You are happy.
What's the
to watch
misinformation that's been
them
given
die.
out that you've given out this
You
morning?
have a massive platform. You have a massive platform, right?
Oh, here we go.
You have a massive platform, a microphone. that you can use to tell people about the situation we're in.
Does he know microphones unplug?
So for those of
you are not using it.
For those of you listening on the radio,
someone like me, an ordinary person who is fighting for their future, is having to take the microphone in a situation like this and having to tell your viewers the situation we are in, because people like you do not.
So for those
people like you are giving as much as a death sentence to your viewers as our government is, as the fossil fuel companies are.
So, and that goes for all those people. By the way, for those of you listening, wondering what the banging on the microphone was, Mr. McGovern has apparently, I think, is it glue? You seem to have glued yourself to the microphone, so that's fantastic.
If you're not going to use the microphone for the people of this country, the people all around the world, to let them know what's happening to their lives right now,
you've been invited on
someone
this
else
program.
will.
You've been invited on this programme to tell us about what the aims of your organisation are. You've come on to talk to us about the aims of your organisation. You've gone through some of them. I've asked you questions about some of the language you're using, and you seem to think that the best way of persuading people to join you in this cause is to tell people that they're either complicit in the greatest ever genocide or superglue yourself to a microphone.
People need to be aware of the situation.
You've been given the opportunity.
Do we have any idea what genocide he's talking about? The Earth, I'm guessing?
I think so, possibly. I'm not 100% sure. I think I need to be fact-checked on that one.
McGovern, who's damn Irish.
But here it is. So they're basically the same organisation. Insulate Britain, who, of course, were protesting for insulation in people's homes, in their attics.
They don't know what stuff gets made, like, by oil. Like, do they realize it's called Stop Oil Now? Do you realize if we stopped oil now, society would collapse? Like, we kind of had this revolution industrially, you might even say, where we started using petroleum products for everything. Unless he wants us to go back to steam engines for a while here before we convert everything. Like, it's not that simple.
Well, what you find is that these are all the same organisation, all linked to, of course, Extinction Rebellion, our favourite. I know they're your favourite.
They are.
But you've got Stop Oil Now, which is an absolutely incredible movement. They just want us to stop using oil and gas for our homes. They want to turn it all off and completely get rid of it. And these are all misled young teenagers, by the looks of it, who have been governed by fear, governed by propaganda, by far-left environmentalists who are telling them that the world will end within 10 years. And it's actually mental. It's mental that these poor young people are actually eating it up and doing stuff that's very detrimental to their own lives. Not even saying that, not even bringing up a good point or great talking points or even a good debate around it. It's, oh, you disagree with me? Well, I'm going to glue my hand to your microphone. Well, I hope that he walked out and just turned the light off and just left him there overnight, because that would have been so funny. But we also have another clip of a Stop Oil Now protester who...
What am I looking at here?
two protesters, one male, one female, who have decided to hide themselves in, I believe, some sort of tunnel. I believe an underground tunnel near the Navigator Oil Terminal in Essex. And they've been in there for about 5 days now. And they're giving us updates on why they're basically starving themselves.
I'm interested to hear what this is.
I'm interested too. Can we please play the clip?
Hello. We are in a tunnel.
They've clearly rubbed the dirt on the middle of their face.
Storage place. Trying to stop the further oil. We've been here for the last 5 days. We are completely shattered and it doesn't have the food.
We're shattered, bruv.
More people to join and help. And we need an emergency response to the situation that we are all in. Oil and fossil fuels are killing us.
Literally. They're literally killing us now.
And
killing yourselves, more like.
Yeah.
We want to have kids. That's why, one of the reasons.
That's why we're doing this.
Like,
that look of despair from that geezer.
I'm wondering, like, where is
He's just like, I need to get out of this relationship.
I was conned by the missus to go down here today.
We need more people to step up. Like,
oil is killing people right now, fueling war that's happening in Ukraine.
Okay.
It is the main.
No, I want to know where this goes, Olivia. Please, let's watch it all.
We need to just stop oil, and we can only do it if we all step up together, step out of our comfort zone.
Yeah, your comfort zone.
No,
yeah, comfort zone, nearly killing yourself.
That is the demand, and we'll get out of our tunnels and stop blocking fuel if that demand is met.
I like how they had to go to the top of the tunnel to get cell phone reception in order to post that. But it really looks like they just wiped dirt only on their nose and mouth, because what's happening to the rest of their face. But they're literally calling for people to come and block the flow of oil by laying in a tunnel, and they, I guess, thought that if we just sit there in this tunnel, then the oil will stop flowing. Like, you're gonna drown in oil.
Yeah, they've been there for 5 days, Andrew. 5 days. Why are you laughing, man? They're starving themselves to death, and you're laughing.
And even the part where, like, we want to have kids because, like, we won't have kids unless the environment changes, and this is the reason for war in the Ukraine. This is one of the funniest things I've ever seen, Lewis. Is this another update, Olivia? Okay, let's see 2 days ago. I want to see the... Okay, 2 days into it. They're on day 5, so 3 days ago. Let's see what the update from inside the oil tunnel is.
We're asking ourselves, why are we here? We're here because we're trying to stop the flow of oil, along with many.
Why did I go out with the missus today?
Deeply concerned that there is no livable future on this trajectory that we're on.
They really have bought into it.
We're in a tunnel under the road, and we've been here for.
He's just like, I can't believe I agreed to this.
In a long time, or slept much, but we're doing okay.
Why haven't you slept much? You're in a tunnel. Like, what else is there to do? You're
Listen, I just want to quickly say though, like, if something bad does happen to these two, like, and this gets clipped, like, I just want to say that the person to blame, the why we're laughing, is the fact that they've literally been groomed by environmentalists to push this ridiculous message. Well, just want to put that out there.
I don't want to put any thoughts in their head, but if you're planning on clogging a pipe, human clogging is not the solution here. You will, like, oil's not just going to stop flowing because there's people sitting there. It will overtake you. I can't believe I have to tell what look like at least 18-year-olds this, that the oil is going to win the battle in the end of the flow of the tunnel. Maybe a giant cork or something, Lewis, like a Tom and Jerry cartoon. Last British story of the day, I think, Lewis, is out of Stirling University. And where is that? I'm not familiar with that.
Stirling is Scotland.
Oh, okay.
Spelled Stirling. Stirling University have decided to cancel Jane Austen, the writer of Pride and Prejudice, and replace it with a African-American writer known as Toni Morris. And this was because... of course, this was after the light of the Black Lives Matter protests all them years ago. But it's to decolonize the curriculum. Now, we've been hearing this over in the UK. I'm not sure about Canada. I'm pretty sure you guys are probably doing that as well, where you want to decolonize. Just nobody
talks about it as well. Yeah.
Basically, we want to replace it with things that are more diverse, or writers that are more diverse, that talk identity politics, gender, sex, and race. And yeah, bearing in mind that in 2013, I don't know if Olivia has the article up, is feminists actually campaigned to have Jane Austen on the £10 note here in England or in the United Kingdom. And they campaigned vigorously. I think they got over 35,000 signatures on a change petition to try and get that. They got what they wanted, and now Jane Austen is being cancelled by that same side.
Yeah, it's just one generation later.
Each other alive. Yeah, which is astronomical. It's ridiculous. So personally, I'm not mad. Weirdly, I'm actually laughing because it's funny to watch them basically eat themselves alive, their own ideology. They're so conflicted. 1 minute it's feminism, one minute it's Black Lives Matter, and next minute it's trans people. So, you know, they can't seem to organise themselves, and they can't seem to be consistent with what they want.
We need a trans person on the 10-pound note, Lewis. I don't know. The first one ever. Was that Caligula or something? I don't know. The first Roman or Greek trans person. I think Jane Austen barely beat out Clive Anderson for being on the bill there. I see we have the article here. Clive Anderson, look it up. Whose line is it anyway? It's funny, though, just 10 years removed from it being the most feminist thing you can do to we need to decolonize all this stuff. And to your point, Lewis, about it happening in Canada, there's just not enough news coverage in Canada for people to talk about it. Young Dakota Christensen is bringing up critical race theory, but nobody else covers stuff like that. Nobody else covers how our conservative provincial party is okay with it being in our education system. There's even a part in our not the curriculum, but in our rules for the education system in high school in Ontario, that you're allowed as a teacher to present anything that's related to critical race theory, quote unquote, and it doesn't have to be reviewed. So they're allowed to present their own materials for racial ideology in the classroom, which doesn't have to be approved by the school board, and that was okayed by our conservative government here. So to more succinctly answer your point, it happens here, but nobody talks about it at all because, you know, there's Rebel News and there's True North, and that's about it.
Right, okay. Interesting. Well, what do you think of decolonizing the curriculum, Sir Andrew?
I would like to know, like colonized countries as a thing of its time when it happened, of course, nobody's going to champion slavery. The English are the first people to end it, the British Empire. But if we're decolonizing, then let's just take all the infrastructure away from the Caribbean, from some African nations. We're decolonizing Canada, then we can just go coast to coast and take out all of our, buildings. And I'm sure people would be happy with that. Take out all the statues, all the buildings. If this is what you really want, take out all the monetary systems we've had. Take out the justice system that we took from the British Empire. Just take out everything. And we'll start anew as some sort of, Neo-Mongolian Empire sort of way of doing things where we just travel from, town to town by horseback and, pillage people for their goods and, until the next group comes along. Some sort of barbarianism is what I think we're pushing for now.
Well, I just had a thought. Surely if, obviously, you dislike all of colonialism and all of the horrible bits of this part of our British history, surely you'd want to learn about it instead of get rid of it. Surely the people that really don't want this stuff getting out and they love the British Empire so much and they still revere it in now times, surely they're the ones that want to actually rewrite history and get rid of all the bad bits and just keep all the good bits. Surely those would be the people. So I don't understand this logic of just completely whitewashing history, completely rewriting it, and only looking at good parts, basically, or getting rid of it entirely. I don't really understand that mentality, because you're supposed to look at history with a historical lens.
No,
not
you can't do that.
21st century lens. No, yeah, you can't do that either nowadays. But still, you're not supposed to look at history in a contextual lens now. You're supposed to look at it for what it is, history, bad or good. So I don't really understand this mentality of let's just rewrite everything. Let's just get rid of things that we don't like and replace it with other things. I've never, ever understood that mentality. You can sit there and say this part of the history is extremely bad and we condemn it. Let's learn about it. And here are parts that are good that we need to model on. And that's all you need to do. I don't understand this idea of just cancelling everything and just getting rid of it just because you don't like it. I've never understood it.
It also disincludes all the other empires that colonized, and it's because they want to take down whichever country they're in, whether it's England, Canada, or the United States, whether Chinese Empire, Japanese Empire, Turkish Empire, shout out Mocha Bazurgan. You can go Russia if you want, whatever race you consider them, a Kurdish Empire, like the Italians. There's just everything. Genghis Khan, all these other things. You, like I said, I think months ago, Lewis, all you have to do is play a historical strategy game, and you'll get a much better concept for history than, I don't know, the Stop Oil protesters. Maybe they should have brought a game of Risk in with them.
Well, just to mention, because you mentioned Genghis Khan, funnily enough, the guy who massacred millions and millions.
Muhammad, even you might even say.
So he, basically massacred many people. And I don't know if Olivia could look this up, but I'm pretty sure there was an article written by The Guardian or someone, or Huffington Post, saying that Genghis Khan actually contributed to the environment. So it all ties in with this episode.
By bringing seeds or what?
Weird thing. Well, this is the strange thing. So these same far-left activists and writers will look at the horrible parts of our own history and condemn it. Fine, not a problem. But here it is. But then go and say something like,
"Oh my God!"
Like why? I don't get it. I don't get it. What's the logic behind this? Why Genghis Khan was good for
How
the
does that
planet?
work? Let's read some of this. I don't know how destroying stuff was good for the atmosphere.
I think
His
the
empire
idea
lasted
is
a century.
Yeah.
The greatest eco-warrior of all time, according to Carnegie's Institute Department of Global Energy. Laying waste to vast swaths of territory and wiping out entire civilizations en route may have scrubbed 700 million tons of carbon from the atmosphere. What pollution were these societies that Genghis Khan destroyed? What were they producing? What?
Well, we are. When they say they want to get rid of our carbon footprint, well, we are carbon. So of course.
But is that what they're talking about? People excreting their own gases and having livestock? Oh my God.
Yeah. Well, there you go. So
Killing people.
Suddenly, the Guardian's all right with Genghis Khan massacring millions and millions of people, more than probably we've done. I need to be fact checked on that, of course. But still, suddenly some murderous dictators are okay and some of them aren't because of the environment, just because of their narrative. I don't understand it. I don't understand it. I don't have an answer for it. I don't understand the mentality. Andrew, thoughts?
I'm looking forward to their Muhammad article in the same fashion. They would never admit to some of the stuff. Let's go with the Toronto Star, which is colloquially known as the Red Star. Lewis, you're supposed to help me on my... Right. Speaking of English vernacular, how do you pronounce the word Croutons, Lewis?
Is it Crocon? Wait, how did you... Wait, what was it?
Croutons. It's
Crotons, isn't it? Croton,
like something you put in your salad?
Yeah. Oh, what, the fried bread?
Yeah.
The bit of the fried bread.
What's it called?
You put me on the spot now. Is it Crocons?
Do you not have a word for that there?
Yeah. The UK version.
What's it called?
Hang on, you put me on the spot. Don't do this to me.
I'm doing it to you.
You wrote it out to me. You've written this out to me earlier. I need to bring it up.
Go ahead.
To see it because you spelling it out and going, right, pronounce it. I'm like, oh, bloody hell, mate.
Right, mate. You think you can just be pronouncing these words?
Where is it? You sent me it. Did you unsend the message? Oh,
no.
Oh, croutons.
Okay.
Yeah, you forgot the T. You forgot the T.
No, I didn't.
Croutons.
Okay, then you pronounced it properly.
Wow.
I was expecting croutons or something. Croutons? Put some croutons in your Kaiser salad.
No, croutons, mate.
Caesar salad. Toronto Star article with your salad cream. Yeah, we get it. Masks are cheap, easy, and effective. So why hasn't the public health ditched the mandate? So why has public health ditched the mandate? We could just keep them forever, says Emma. What? Emma Title?
Yeah, there you go. Pronounce that. Yeah.
Emma Toyle.
Croutons.
Emma Toyle.
Yeah, croutons.
Does that name have an ER at the end, Lewis? Emmer?
Where? Emma.
Okay, I'm glad we're allowed to say the A on that one. Nearly everywhere, and this is the most anyone's ever going to read this article. They're just going to share it with outrage. Nearly everywhere a city official appears, they sing the song of Toronto's sky-high vaccination rate. She then starts a sentence with "and," which is obviously you don't want to do if you're a real writer. And it truly is a beautiful song. Should have been a semicolon, Emma, but we'll keep going here. Almost 90% of TO residents aged 12 plus have received 2 doses of vaccine. Other cities Again, who's editing this? Have received 2 doses of vaccine. Other cities desperately trying to increase their own vaccination rates now look to ours for guidance. Toronto's mayor and top doctor are and should be proud of this fact. But pride is a lousy defense against a communicable disease. I disagree. We have to be prideful and we have to put our vaccination status in our screen names. In the 6th wave of COVID, we're up to 6 by now, by the way here, Lewis.
Oh.
We've skipped over 4 and 5, I believe. We've gone right to 6 in the panic mode.
Gosh.
Toronto wants the rest of its laurels, but the virus doesn't rest. But the virus doesn't rest. On Monday, COVID hospitalizations were up nearly 40%. Sure they were. Doesn't matter how many infographics. Sure it doesn't. Yet neither Toronto's top doctor nor Ontario's are willing to reinstate a cheap and proven tool to curb transmission. Here's the thing, Emma from the Toronto Star, who didn't edit the first 2 sentences of her article. No, they're not. We all know they're not, okay? Show me the study where it's proven effective. You can't find it. You can find one that says up to 10% of effectiveness in a controlled study for a plastic mask, a regular mask, upwards in a controlled environment for an N95 or above. They're not about to issue N95s. They're not about to require them because they didn't all along. You show me where it is. What people will say, oh, look at Japan. Look at Japan and South Korea. If you want to start living like Japan, South Korea, then you can go there. These are completely different societies that a Hermit or cushy job wouldn't survive in because they don't adhere to your stupidity. And this is what people always... It's the equivalent of when people say, oh, look at Nordic countries and their socialism. Look at this other country that I have no idea about and have read one article on about how everybody just steps up and wears their mask. Why don't you wear a mask? If it's so effective, then why don't you wear it? And then you'll be safe. And then she's going to say, oh, I care about everybody, but I want to force everybody to do something. Lewis, it comes to a point where we start saying, you know, female writers are the problem here. These are the problem in our society, Lewis. Women writers.
No.
This is the problem. No, but honestly, and we're being honest, as we always are, where do you come up with this stuff? We're in the 6th wave. You desperately want to cling to this stuff. It comes from wanting to control people, Lewis. That's where I think it wants to come from.
No, I do agree. It's all about control, isn't it? I don't know how spicy we want to go on that topic of control, but of course, these people would want to see us in masks forever because they see them as effective. They've been told it's effective, so why not question it? Why not question a bit of cloth?
Producer Olivia is telling me there's a part we need to read. Okay, my kid has never... Go ahead.
Would you like me to do it in my voice?
Yes.
Okay, here we go. My kid has never known a world without masking, and she's just fine.
Oh, I see.
Oh, as current research suggests, she should be.
Oh, yeah, she should be fine with always wearing a mask and only seeing people. Lewis, I don't know about you, but here the mask mandate was lifted, what, a month ago by now? Almost. Less than 3 weeks or something. You see a kid in the grocery store, you can't smile at them. All that's looking at them is a creepy person in a mask. You can't say hello. No. They're just like, what are this set of eyeballs?
I was speaking to Lincoln about this, and I mentioned because he was like, "Oh, finally the mask mandate's been lifted," blah blah blah, and he was still seeing people wearing masks, and he was like, "What? Like, why? You can just take it off now. You can just enjoy yourself." And I explained to him that the same thing happened here in England, where as soon as the mask mandate lifted here, it still was taking months for people to sort of come out of the shadows and just slowly take it off because they're terrified. These people that have been scared. I was about to swear then, but they were completely scared throughout their wits. It's unbelievable. So it's a state of control. It's a state of nefarious control that we're seeing governed by behavioural scientists as opposed to people who actually care about you. And that's my take on it anyway.
I implore.
And God bless Lincoln.
No blessings for Lincoln. I implore this writer to come on Rebel News and talk to us about her mask stance and about her masking her child forever and claiming that there's no problem. Children do not suffer at all from always being in masks. You know, that reminds me, Lewis, yesterday I reached out to a hockey writer, the fine sport of hockey, who said that, and this is just going on along the lines of somebody wanting to speak to us, a hockey writer who says the reason why there's so much fighting in hockey is because of white male like toxicity or whatever you want to call it. It's too much white maleness in there. And his response was, "I would never go on Rebel News. You guys portray so much hate. I cannot give you guys any sort of whatever." And then like he copied and pasted it from a Reddit forum or anything to that nature. I just wanted to point out that like I do, me personally, I can't speak for anyone else, but I personally reach out to so many people to try to come on my show or do a segment. I've done it with mayors of Peterborough, Hamilton, conservative candidates.
Well, you've done.
BLM is the only one who will come on.
yeah.
I've got another one coming on in a couple of weeks. Hawk Newsom. Hawk Newsom of BLM, Greater New York. Anyway, shout out to Hawk Newsom. Let's go to our last clip here. I think we had the Trudeau's heritage minister saying we need more tax-funded media, if that's what I'm not mistaken. Let's go ahead and play that, please. Oh, he's handsome. He looks like he's replacing the commander on the Starship Enterprise. Commander Riker.
The news sector in Canada is in crisis.
Oh, he's just very French.
And this contributes to the heightened public mistrust and the rise of harmful disinformation in our society.
French. It could be related to me.
Just think for a moment that between 2008 and 2015, and today, 451 news outlets closed their doors in Canada.
And?
In the last 2 years, 64 of them closed their doors.
And? If they're closing, they must be kept open. This is a problem of liberal governments and even conservative governments of past. Failing industry, let's buy them out. Car company, let's buy them out. Airline company, and by buy them out, I mean like give them unlimited funds to continue to stay open. Now, news outlets are closing. It can't be because people aren't interested in them. It can't be the reason. Is we need to give $600 million more to the outlets. They cannot feed their kids with the poutine and the cheese, the curd de fromage. I'm allowed to do this, Louis. I'm French. My dad will be proud of me. My dad doesn't even have an accent. It's weird. His first language is French, and he doesn't have an accent.
Wow.
You should meet him.
Cool. I will.
All right. Yeah, you guys will go on a date. Everybody, thanks for joining us today. I slid that in there. We've got a chat or two to go to. Producer Efron is giving me the 3%ers sign, I think, or that means there's 3 chats. I try to incriminate him whenever I can. G. Melinda G60 says, "Love you guys." Thank you, Melinda.
We love you too.
I never learned to love Justin Trudeau. Yankee Pollock says, "You needed a rant?" ?
Oh, very Andrew cool. Always needs a rant. Always needs a rant.
I'm not sure what that means. I think he thought it was funnier in his head than it is. Chap a dose, chap hole twice. Andrew, the solution is to use more saliva. I don't even think I need to respond.
It's funny.
I don't even know what that means.
He's mocking you probably, which is funny.
I think he's trying to, but chap hole twice? I've had a lot of mockeries of my name, but it's never been that.
Please send in more mockeries about Andrew, not only to the paid chats, but to my email personally, just so I can hold them for myself.
That man is likely 60 years old and from Alberta, is my guess, is that demographic there. He loves him some police. He loves Jason Kenney. He really thinks the lockdowns helped. And, we should just respect the government at that point. That's what I think. Louis Brackpool all the way from X-Town in England. Thank you for joining me. Thanks to everybody watching on Rumble, on Super U, on Odyssey, on YouTube, even YouTube, and Getter, I think, as well. We're going to close here. It looks like a clip that producer Efron's forcing upon us, but we love him anyway. Thank you, producer Olivia. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Louis has a couple reports coming out. I have my new episode tomorrow night on rebelnewsplus.com. Thank you for watching. I think this is a police chief saying something stupid. See you guys next time.
Thank you.
The big thing is I've seen in the media people saying, well, Chief, why don't you just, go and hammer everybody and use the discipline tool. And I think, that's kind of a draconian way to go. When you appreciate, as I've said, how important this symbol is to members of the Calgary Police Service and the actions, I think the response that was evoked here is such that you have to step back and say, okay, something's going on. And so, as I say in my conversations with the stakeholders, it's clear that something is in fact going on. And so I think focusing on those types of things will probably get us to a better place. I think if we were to try to go down the road of the discipline route right away, the challenges you have is you might be able to get begrudging compliance, but we're actually looking for cooperation and commitment, because once this is over, we have to go back to the important work that we're doing that's ongoing of policing in the city.